Welcome back to On Deck Circle Podcast, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. I am your host. I couldn't think of an adjective there, but that's fine. Nick Zaniboni. I'm with my very good friend, Mr. Jason Beckner, and may I wish you a happy opening day, sir.
Yes, sir. We have real life baseball that actually counts. Unfortunately, it is at a time that I'm not fully awake. So I only get to catch, I think today I woke up, the Cubs were already losing 3-1. It was like the sixth inning or something at 6 a.m. my time. So missed out on some of it, heard some of it on the radio on the drive to work. My Cubs lost, but we have meaningful baseball.
We do, and that's great. But before we get to that, we have to get to more important stuff called the Cold Open Question of the Week, and we're going to keep it nice and tight today. However, I was asked to speak at my former high school on a panel to speak to seniors, giving them some advice. I would like you to tell me what's a piece of advice you would give a high school senior. Could be anything in the world, anything. All right? 3, 2, 1, go. All right, Jason, what do we got?
So many lessons that you could pass down to an 18-year-old, 17-year-old senior. But I think when I think about what I kind of, any kind of regrets I have is that, or the things I could tell them is, don't think you have to have everything planned and everything's going to go according to plan as your life goes on. Whether that be the college degree you get or your plan for your overall life, it's never set in stone. So don't feel free to go with the flow, as they say, and may go down a path you may not want to go. You didn't think you should go down. So be comfortable with uncomfortable, I guess, is another good way to put it too.
That was great. I use the term "no one's path is linear."
I like that.
Oh yeah, it was good, right? But
yeah.
I also got I did get roasted by a senior. So I don't know if you know this about me. I loved college so much. I went to 5 different ones. So I said that, and the kids were just like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "No, man. Like I just did a couple stops in different places, and now I'm done with school, and I'm doing great. And I have my own podcast here on the Fantasy Six Pack, brought to you by the On Deck. No, here on the On Deck Circle, brought to you by the Fantasy Six Pack. But let's get started with actual business. Jason, what do we got first?
Fantrax.
Right. Nick, you're talking first. So we're going to talk about Fantrax, which is the only place to have any fantasy, really. I'm not even talking just baseball anymore, Jason. We're talking football. We're talking everything. And it's the only way to go when you're starting a league. I'm unsure, but I do think they do have a March Madness bracket on there. I'm 99.99% sure. And I'm also kind of intrigued in maybe just doing a little thing on there. And I actually think, Jason, do we at the Fantasy Six Pack have our own March Madness challenge?
We do, actually. It's actually through ESPN, though, not through Fantrax. So hush on that. But more to come on that at the next business stop.
But really, though, Fantrax is the only place to do any of your fantasy sports, especially baseball, because I believe last week I referenced the issue with adding players. You can get it easily today. I'm actually a commissioner of a 24-team league, a co-commissioner, and I had an issue. It was resolved within 2 emails, and those 2 emails took about 20 minutes. That's customer service, and that's why you should be on Fantrax. Are you slugging a C4 right now?
I am. It's leftover.
What flavor is that?
We got a see if I can get it in the screen here.
Is it the Skittle one? Oh, the popsicle one. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. There we
It was
go.
one. It was one of those 2 p.m. needed to pick me up. I don't know if you were like me, but don't get a lot of sleep at night. 2 p.m. comes around, especially when you're in the office.
Yeah.
It can get the fluorescent lights and the just muteness of the office because half the people work from home. I should say 90% work from home, me included. But I'm a hybrid, so I do go to the office once in a while. So yeah, 2 p.m. had to grab something from the cafeteria down below, and they had some C4 popsicle, cherry.
Nice. What is funny is 2 o'clock is when my second coffee. That's
Okay.
It's just like the 2 o'clock wall. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, to get from 2 to 5.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll usually grab some coffee, but I was pretty coffeeed out today, and sometimes I just want especially in the afternoon. I've already eaten lunch. I want something cold. Like I need like an iced coffee.
Yep.
We don't have that at the
Very
office.
New England of you.
What's
Yeah.
that?
I said that's very New England of you. Just iced coffee all time, every day.
Yeah, absolutely. So I
Yeah.
was like, I'll grab down I'll go to the cafeteria and get a C4. So
Yeah, my C4 consumption is about 5:45 in the morning. That's what it
Oh,
is.
okay. Yeah,
We
okay.
do
That's
a
what
couple of
I'm putting in the
scoops,
coffees.
go pump some iron,
All right. Well, we're continuing this week. We're continuing our positional previews. Trying to finish them up here before the season starts. This week we are on everyone's probably second favorite position, at least my second favorite position. Probably first favorite hitting position because it's most leagues require you to start 3, 4, 5, maybe even you might even start 6 of them in your league by the time you get a utility spot in there. We're talking outfield, baby. I got a question for you because this is I have a league like this and it really bugs me. Do you have any league where you have to play
I do.
left, center, right?
Yep. It's bullshit.
It's really frustrating, man. Really frustrating. I have a dynasty league like that, and it's really frustrating. But most leagues are not like that, so we're gonna talk all outfielders, sleepers. We're gonna go with our our sleepers right off the bat. That's what we usually do. So with your guy first.
Yeah, we're gonna go with Mr. Matt Wallner of the Minnesota Twins. I don't know if you're big on Matt Wallner on Twitter, Jason, but he has been on fire this spring. We're talking 6 homers. We're talking getting on base at an insane clip. He does have a strikeout issue. He's always kind of had a strikeout issue, but you know what? We will sacrifice that for the output he's providing. I'm going to tell you something that's crazy. If I told you Matt Wallner has the highest OBP over the last 2.5 years for the Minnesota Twins, would you believe me?
No.
I'd say you are incorrect because that is true. However, unfortunately, that with such great OBP, he seems to be getting that Kyle Schwarber treatment of batting leadoff. And when you have so much power, it's not great to bat leadoff just because you're sacrificing the RBI opportunities. But he's someone that I'm totally believing in this year. I am 100% taking him. He's going just inside the top 300 picks. His current ADP is 267, which is bananas for the type of output we could see. So last year in 260 at-bats, he had 13 homers. That's great. Give me a full season of him, 500 ABs. I think we can easily clear 25 homers because that power is real. And that's a great park if we're to hit in. So definitely all in on Wallner. 6'4", 220. Great body. And he's just someone I'm really paying attention to this year. I know we actually spoke. I hit you up offline about a Mason Wynn trade. And I was like, you know what? I want Matt Wallner in there because he's not sought after. He's someone that I think a lot of people are just kind of sleeping on. And that's why he is my sleeper pick for this.
Yeah. The problem with Wallner has always been is just getting the plate appearances. He's always been like that fourth outfielder that just kind of fills in for Minnesota. Because you even look right now, in his 3 seasons, he's barely even put up a full season's mark. But you're right. If he gets that 500 plus plate appearances, I could easily see 30 home runs. I mean, he got 29 and 490 at bats, 580 plate appearances. So If he can get the at-bats, the power's legit, and easily 30 home runs. Like you said, what do you say? Almost outside the top 300 when it comes to
it's
ADP?
just he's being picked as the 161st hitter and 37th left fielder. Like if we're gonna go by the position rankings. But yeah, just someone I'm really believing in. And like the OBP is just so high. 370, I think was last season. Just definitely a great value. And he's someone that I am trying to target in Dynasty, in redraft. I'm not saying he's Brent Rooker, but it's not if he's him light, then it's an absolute home run. So I think that's kind of what we're getting here.
Yeah, no, I agree. I love it. Especially when you're in these like 4 or 5 outfielder leagues, you got to find some for that, especially for that 5th outfield spot. You're going to end up having to put in some guy that's probably a 4th outfielder, unless you're targeting outfield early. But Matt Wallner is a great target for a sleeper position. Jump over here to my guy now. This is a guy that I've kind of gone back and forth on. That's Christian Yelich with the Brewers. Was always a huge Yelich fan, especially when you go back to like 2018 and 2019 when he was getting like MVP votes. And I was really out on him last couple of years, but last year with the emergence of Jackson Chourio in that lineup and getting Rhys Hoskins and some other guys in there, he's kind of really starting to excel. I'm kind of back in on Yelich. His ADP really was up really high last few years, obviously because of those great seasons in 2018, 2019. He was stealing 30, hitting 30-plus bombs. But when you look at last year, I mean, granted, he was hurt and missed a lot of the season, and he only appeared in 73 games. But he still stole 20 bags and hit 11 home runs in 73 games.
Yeah.
And slashed 315, 406, 504. We've always known the great plate approach. He's always hit for a really good average, really good OBP guy. The power numbers are always going to be a little bit on the lower end. I don't think we'll ever get back to like 35 plus home runs from Christian Yelich, but if he can stay healthy, man, last year
25.
Yeah, easily. I mean, he was projected a full season last year if he stayed healthy at a 20-40 with awesome batting average and awesome OBP. And you're getting 20 home runs, 40 stolen bases. He could easily repeat that again if he stays healthy this year. Right now, he's being drafted outside the top 100 and basically as a 3rd outfielder. I mean, he's going ahead of some other guys that we'll talk about later on in this list, going behind guys like that we'll talk about. Again, it's always been his health recently, getting a little bit older in age now. He's up to 33. So if he can stay healthy, I think, with the emergence of Jackson, like I said, or the emergence of Jackson Chourio in that lineup, a little bit of protection around him. Again, if he can stay healthy, I am all in on Yelich. I'm back in on that ADP. Like I said, I was off on him for the last couple of years because his ADP had gotten to like top 50 or maybe even top 25. But that was just too high for me. So I'm back in on Yelich this year.
I love that, man. And he's part of that tier of player, the like 30 to 33, that like I think people are like, oh, like they've fallen off a cliff. I'm not obviously like Mike Trout is Mike Trout, but like the same type of people view them in a similar light. And I think that I would honestly rather Yelich over Trout at this point, just because of the lineup he's in, the team he's on. And I believe in the Brewers. The Brewers are like always kind of just like that sneaky, like decent team. So totally with you there. I had no idea that he only hit 19 home runs in 2023. If you were to ask me, I think I would have been like 25, just because he's just like that type of guy. But yeah, yep. I'm totally in on him. He's an OBP monster. And that's kind of what you need to look at for the outfield, just because you can't have 5 not Jackson, who's like a Fernando Tatises, you need to just have contributors in categories. And he is one that's going to basically solidify like one corner of your OBP. So totally with you there.
Awesome, man. All right, well, those are our sleepers. Let's get right into our busts. And like always, you will go first. This one was...
Yeah. So this one was hard, mostly because I think I would draft him even at his ADP, which is currently 31. So we're talking end of round 2, depending on how many teams are in your league, because the value's there and it's fantastic. He's an MVP if he is who he is, but it's the missing the injury is it's just such a risk to take something so early that potentially is going to not come back until like mid to late May ish, I think, and then possibly not even be 100%. So he's an absolute superstar. Again, this right here is more based on redraft, just because I think there is a way to draft Ronald Acuna at his spot. But again, it's going to be you picking a bunch of outfielders just to like hope, like getting maybe overdrafting Yelich a bit just to like get someone to fill in. But yeah, it's not like I'm down on the player. I'm not even really down on the ADP. It's just too much of a risk that I don't want to take if I'm financially invested. I think we had this conversation. I think you picked him in TGFBI or one of.
That's what I was going to bring up.
But like that's fine. You're not putting up $100 to try and win this, So I think in those leagues, it's definitely worth it, especially because, again, as we said privately, like TGFBI, you kind of have to skew away from the path because you need to separate yourself to like be good. And drafting him pick 25, 20, 25 is fine. It's just a matter of if you're okay with the risk and if you have insurance for that risk. So it's kind of a cop-out. I just knew he was the thumbnail. So I was like, I need to talk about him.
No, but there's also news that have come out. This is obviously the knees have taken a huge hit the last couple of years. He has been saying that he will be running less. So don't expect 60, 70 stolen bases out of Ronald Acuna anytime soon, especially not in 2025 at all. I would be shocked if he even got to 20 this year. I think with the quality that his bat brings to that lineup, they are going to treat this with caution. I mean, this is one of your best players. For him to get out there and steal a bunch of bases is not a huge need for that offense. I think just him getting on base and him driving in runs is more important than stealing 50, 60, even 40, 30 bases. But you're right. I did draft him in TGFBI. I got him at pick 29.
Yeah,
I was okay with that there. Again, there's no IL spots in TGFBI, so I'm also dealing with, I don't know, what's that, like 6 weeks of an empty roster spot, basically. So, I mean,
and those are very valuable in that. Like,
right.
Like
the
you're
risk
obviously
is
not
there, no doubt.
But
the risk is there, no doubt, but the upside I thought was worth the risk. If you're going to get, you might be without him for 6 weeks, but then you're also going to get him for 3.5 months, depending on if you do roto or playoffs or whatnot. But I agree. A little bit of a bust situation with Acuna just because you're still getting him in the second round. No stolen bases. We haven't really seen him perform coming off this now his second knee surgery in 3 years. So there's a lot to be desired there. We just don't know what we're going to get from him. So I kind of agree with the bust aspect on that as well. This one was a little bit harder because I just busts for outfielders so hard because there's just so many good ones. So I got to try to find someone that I actually was in on last year, and that's Brenton Doyle of the Colorado Rockies. Kind of similar to what my approach was with Yelich is I was in on him at that ADP last year. I think he was like going at like outside the top 250 or something. And now this year, he's all the way up to, I want to say within the top 75. Actually, I had it. He's been drafted as an outfielder too. He had a huge 2024 season. He had 20 home runs, stole 30 bags, which made you really, really saw his ADP inflate. And most of that's also because he plays half his games in Colorado, which is obviously one of the best, if not the best, hitter-friendly park in all of baseball. But I kind of have to, I think we've kind of seen this is pretty much Doyle's ceiling is 2030, which isn't bad at all. But he's going ahead of guys like we just talked about, Yelich, who I think can give him almost a better ceiling than that. He doesn't hit for a really high average. you're getting like Yelich probably pretty much 4 rounds later than Brenton Doyle right now. So to me, I don't hate Brenton Doyle. I just think that where you're having to pay for that ADP is just not. It's just you're not going to see a good ROI on that investment on Brenton Doyle. I'm pulling up his ADP right now, unless you already got it.
I do not. I will fill some time with my fear of Brenton Doyle.
Okay.
Last year, I don't know. I was all in on Nolan Jones because I was just like, okay, power, speed, power,
Same.
speed, power, speed. And Brenton Doyle turned out to be the guy. But now I look at Brenton Doyle and I say, what if he's just what I thought Nolan Jones was? So I'm just not gonna touch the I think a good fantasy strategy is just to not touch the Rockies unless I'm good.
Yeah. It's give me a minute about the ADP, and not that it matters, but I agree. I think the Rockies are such like the lineup's trash, right? I mean, we've talked about guys like Chase Hampton and Ryan McMahon and now Brenton Doyle and then Chris Bryant and Nolan Jones, and all of them just kind of have that mediocre return on investment. And so for those reasons, I'm out.
Yeah.
That was a little Shark Tank there.
Yeah. I picked that one up.
All right. Well, before we move on here into our next part here, we'll get into some business. Talk about the membership plans over at FantasySixPack.net. You can get tons of great access by becoming a member. Get access to our rankings. Joe Bond over there at Fantasy Six Pack, one of the best when it comes to rankings, both in football and baseball. Top 5, top 10 every year when it comes to the industry as far as rankings go. You get access to our Discord. Get all sorts of crazy stuff. I know we're rolling out a bunch of gambling stuff going forward. You kind of alluded to it earlier, but we now have put together a NCAA March Madness bracket. It's for the fans. Also, we are competing in it as well, and for except no Fantasy Six Pack worker is eligible to win. And if you do win, you get a free membership. But if you don't win that and you want to get access to that, you can go to FantasySixPack.net/plans. Super fun stuff over there. You get all sorts of great access and content. So I highly recommend it. And then from there, we are going to talk about breakouts, and we'll go with yours first.
Yeah, this is somebody that I think our former host, his ears are ringing right now because Riley Greene, man, he was sneaky last, going into this year. I don't think I'm not watching a bunch of Tigers games. That's not the team that I really follow. But Riley Greene was great last season, and he's currently being drafted in top 100 pick, which is kind of nuts. But I had if gun to my head, no idea he hit over 20 home runs. That's crazy. And just the board really speaks for itself here, just because I feel like he was almost overshadowed by Skubal. And nobody talked about how great a season Riley Greene had. And I'm just trying to get him wherever I can. I know I got him in. He was one of my outfielders for Nerf. I think I got him in TGFBI as well. So any redraft, I'm trying to really target Riley Greene. And I just think as a top 100 player, yes, that is a bit steep. But we're talking round 6. And that's fine with me. That's a great spot for him. So I'm hoping I'm right. I think this Tigers team is going to take another that run they had to end last season was so fun. That kind of I think was the coming out party for this team, and I truly believe, especially with Joe should be up. It's just I think that Tigers team is going to be one of those up and coming ones this season.
Yeah, and a lot of that came from that great second half that Riley Greene had. He kind of propelled them a lot down the stretch there. He had an awesome second half. Really started to put his name in the head as one of these top outfielders. Hits for a really good average. I think you'll see an even bigger uptick in average this year. The power is legit. OBP is legit. A little bit more protection in that lineup. I know I saw, not the greatest, but Gleyber Torres is always a nice addition as well for the Detroit Tigers. So I'm all in on Riley Greene too. I took him in TGFBI, and you've now talked about both a bust and a breakout on my TGFBI team.
You're welcome.
Love it, man. Love it. I'm going to go from a little bit more deeper in my breakout. This is a guy that I've been screaming on the rooftops for, and that's TJ Friedl, the Reds. Super high on him last year. Unfortunately, missed a lot of the season. He only appeared in 85 games last year. Kind of similar to Yelich, though. He did still hit 13 home runs, stole 9 bags in 85 games. If we look at his 2023 stat line, he did have a little bit of a mini breakout in 2023. It's kind of where he kind of broke out on the scene, and everyone's like, whoa, who's this guy? He hit 18 home runs, stole 27 bags. He can provide that power speed combo that you look for, especially in these 4th and 5th outfield leagues. Right now he's being drafted as the 65th outfielder, so right around that, like, in a 12-team league, what's that? That's like your 6th outfielder. He's got an ADP of 252. He's gonna lead off for Cincinnati, and if he can stay healthy and so can the rest of that offense, it's a super awesome offense, as well as one of the, if not the second best hitting park in all of baseball in Cincinnati. So give me all the TJ Friedl shares. I'm in on it as far as a breakout.
I love that too. My only issue here, it has nothing to do with baseball. Do you know there was like a meme going around of Baltimore Orioles prospects all just like looking the same?
Yeah.
So the Reds have a very similar thing of just players. Like if you put Friedl, I know Winker doesn't play there anymore, but like Jesse Winker, Steer, all of these guys, there's probably more, honestly. Nick Senzel when he was there, they're just all the same type of looking like phylum of person. And that's my only knock on this. So totally agree with you from a baseball perspective, but he is just so generic. Like, this is a created MLB The Show guy.
Road to the Show guy, for sure.
Yes, TJ Friedl. He went to, like, Cal State Fullerton. Like, he's just a guy. And sometimes you need just guys out there because he's going to be a productive guy. But it's just the face for me. That's all.
Yeah. No, like I said, he's one of those guys, if he can stay healthy, that's always been his biggest issue so far in his young career, is just getting healthy and getting the plate appearances. If he can, again, he leads off for Cincinnati and gives you a nice power speed combo, getting drafted outside the top 250. So something to look for, not only as like a breakout, but also a sleeper. All right. Well, with that, let's get into everyone's favorite topic, and that's prospects. Who's your favorite outfield prospect right now?
Let's not say favorite outfield prospect.
Okay.
Favorite outfield prospect.
Yeah, that
Roman Anthony.
Yeah, that was a little.
We're going deep here.
There.
We're going deep here, and his name is Brailyn Antunez.
Yep.
For the Brewers, and I really wish I could speak more about him, other than like random Twitter videos that I've seen. But
he just got signed to the.
Yes, he did. He also did just get signed. The Brewers have become a team that I trust when it comes to international.
I will say, especially with the internationals, for sure.
The international, they have something going on.
Yeah.
And so this is literally just me taking my shot, planting my flag. So like this guy might be out of the league in a year.
Yeah.
But size, he can hit, he can run. It's kind of just everything that you look for. And I just think that the Brewers can do it. I'm really mad because last year I signed Jesus Made in my hometown league and I cut him just because I was like, because it's, again, these guys they're so hard to find information on. I use Twitter, X, whatever the fuck you call it.
Yep.
For everything. So like I'll just do like search term Brailyn just to find something. But like these international guys, it's so hard to find things. So if I'm going to actually give any piece of fantasy advice, is if you do draft, pick up any of these international guys, hold them for a year, just because sometimes it takes that off season to really get the hype, because they're going to Dominican summer ball. They're doing all these, they're playing more baseball. But once they're not really stateside, it's kind of tough just to find them and be like, oh, okay. Because like this guy's not going to be in single A. He's going to be a rookie ball somewhere, and it's just going to be like tough to find the information. So he's someone I wish maybe Fantrax can add like a don't drop and make me lock him, because he is someone I am locking until next offseason.
Yeah, and the problem too with a lot of these international signings, right? They're so volatile because they're getting signed at like 16, 17, 18 years old. So much maturity and changes come between. I mean, if you think about like when guys peak and get through all the way through puberty, may not even be till they're after 18 years old. So a lot of things can change between the age of 16 and 19. But again, if you're talking about an organization that's really hit on these international prospects, Jackson Chourio, Jesus Made, which I don't know. Again, book's still out on him, but everything is lining up, and everything that I can find and read about is Jesus Made is the next Jackson Chourio or along those lines. So, yeah, absolutely plant your flag on a Brewers international signing that could make big waves. And that's another thing too, is if you're playing in these dynasty leagues and you sign these or you draft these these international prospects, that's like a minimum 3 to 4 year commitment. Yeah. Most of these guys, aside from like the huge big names, like even Jackson Chourio was at least a 2 year commitment. You just don't know. I mean, 2 years from now, like you said, Brailyn Antunez could be just stuck still in the DSL and never hearing from him again. So it's definitely a lot of volatility comes with the
definitely. And like again, this isn't, you're not picking him in your first round of first year player drafts. It's just that dart throw at the end when you're like, all right, everyone's kind of picked. But actually, I don't know if this is actually true, but there's a clip of him in the Little League World Series on Twitter, but I don't know if it's actually him or someone else named that. So
okay,
that's all.
All right, we'll jump over to mine here, and this one's a little bit of a homer pick, but more so by proxy.
Oh,
that's Zyhir Hope of the Los Angeles Dodgers, formerly of my Chicago Cubs, drafted in the 11th round by the Cubs, actually. So like way late round, just like in the weeds pick that the Cubs somehow found. But yeah, he went over to the Dodgers in the Michael Busch trade as more of just like a throw-in. We gave him Jackson Ferris and like, oh, here, by the way, take Zyhir Hope. Because I was reading up on it, and it sounds like the Dodgers were interested in Zyhir Hope, and the Cubs kind of just sniped him on it when they drafted him. So the Dodgers were like, well, if you want Michael Busch, we want this guy that we were interested in, a couple years like last year. But, showed a lot of promise last year in his first full season in 2024. He slashed 290, 419, 484 slug, had 9 home runs and 9 stolen bases and only 272 plate appearances across the low minors. Only got to high A last year, but that's how highly they think of him. They actually, the Dodgers gave him a non-roster invite to spring training this year. So they obviously like what they see out of him. He's shown a lot of flashes in his young career so far. Having a really decent spring training with the Dodgers. Obviously didn't make the trip over to Tokyo or anything like that, but got 22 plate appearances this spring. It's got a little bit of pop in that bat too. He's got a quick bat, generates a really good exit velo. Definitely projects more of a power over hit type prospect. But I think you can definitely get into the 20, 30 home run peak in his career, especially when he matures and reaches his peak more. I think that's kind of that 20, 30 home run caliber type player.
Yeah, I really like Hope, and it's just the fucking Dodgers, man. I don't know how to do it. If you're gonna find any hole, though, it is kind of their outfield. They're not like Pages never really panned out. I mean, he's still like up and coming, but like
right.
I do feel like there's like Hope could legitimately play on their team next season, like in the outfield without it being like crazy. So definitely a great person to have on any radar for sure. I do have a question about another outfielder. How upset are you going to be when Cam Smith is like
that's
a monster and Kyle Tucker just like walks?
Here's what I've been kind of saying all along since the trade has happened. It's going to hurt even more if the Cubs let Tucker walk.
Yes.
Like, you can't make this trade for a 1-year rental, especially if it sounds like Cam Smith is going to break camp and be starting for the Astros in the outfield or even at second base.
Yeah.
They've been giving him reps at second base this spring. So I think they are trying to find a way to get him in any way that into that lineup. And it is going to sting when Kyle Tucker walks to the Yankees next year and we're stuck with nothing. That's when it'll hurt.
Yankee too.
Oh, such a Yankee. Gonna get like 250 mil, 5 years, some bullshit. But again, if the Cubs can lock him up to a 5 to 10 year, I don't want to go that high. I'd love the 5 or 6 year deal on Kyle Tucker. I don't care what the hell Cam Smith does because he will never be. I shouldn't say never, but he will not be as good. If he walks, it was all just a huge slap in our face.
Yeah, I'm terrified that the Sox aren't gonna get an extension with Crochet. This whole season, I'm just gonna be scared.
Right.
So,
but getting him before the season starts versus at the deadline, way bigger. Gives us, well, I say us because it's like you with Crochet and the Cubs with Tucker.
Sure.
It gives them a full year to kind of get that whole atmosphere going and get some relationships built and maybe a preference of playing there versus going somewhere else. However, a lot of these guys will not talk negotiations during season. So at this point, we just have to pray and hope that whatever happens this year, they fall in love with and they want to come back because that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we can monitor those situations. Maybe we'll have like panic buttons. Like we'll like check in like every month. I'll be like, hey, so how you feeling about Tucker? And you're gonna be like, it's not
right. Right. Especially when Cam Smith's got like 30 home runs by September and Tucker's got like 20. Then we'll be like, oh shit.
And he fouls the ball off his heel again. He's out for fucking like 6 weeks.
Exactly. We'll keep a panic button going. But baseball is here. Real action live baseball is here, not just spring training. That means it's time for the return has come for one episode and for a couple weeks.
No, the season starts next week, so that's good.
That's true. We do have
so we can probably do one on Tuesday. Like lines will be out.
That's true.
So I think we'll be good.
Okay. We were kind of talking about these before the show started. I'm trying to decide if I want to go super nuclear or just keep it simple. And I think at the beginning of the year, I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm going to go Seiya Suzuki, 2+ total bases at plus 130.
Okay. I'm going to
He's due. He's due. It's, it's kind of a return, homecoming. But yeah,
right.
What do you got for us?
That's 2+ bases at plus 135?
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going with the game under 8.
Okay.
That's minus 108, I think. Oh, yeah, minus 108.
I got mine's at minus 7.5 or over under 7.5.
Oh, maybe it's because you're in Chicago.
It's probably true. Or the book that we use.
I did put it in before we started. Oh yeah, no, mine's still 8. So I'm going under 8.
All right, I'm going under 2.
So it put together as a cool 425. I also have a boost, so I'm gonna boost it.
Oh, boost it, baby. I got plus 432. We'll check in on these next Tuesday. Hopefully it hits. That'll be a nice little payday right before the season starts. Get that bankroll up.
Yeah, let's get it going.
All right, Nick. Well, that's the end of this week's episode. We will be back next week getting ready for opening day.
All right, big dog. We'll see you.